From Orlando, Florida and Tulsa, Oklahoma, welcome to the 1330 Podcast with your hosts, Keith Neighbor and Brent Bailey. Pulling from nearly half a century of experience, Brent and Keith share unique wisdom and proven insight to build the leader within you. Interact with us now on Facebook and Twitter at 1330 Podcast or email your questions and comments to 1330podcast@gmail.com. The 1330 Podcast starts right now.
Greetings, everybody, and welcome to another 1330 Podcast. I'm Brent Bailey.
I'm Keith Neighbor.
And if you listen real close, you
I
can
don't hear
hear a
anything
bunch
when
of
you're
noise in the background, which is families of our special guest today. As we told you, we've been broadcasting this week, or recording really, from a good friend of ours' office in the great city, the bustling metropolis of Graham, North Carolina, and our good friend Joshua Gresham.
Huge.
It's like Mayberry on steroids, isn't it?
A little bit.
The real Mayberry's down the road,
square
too.
Where they've got the courthouse.
Yeah, it's very cool here. But we're here in the offices at Trailhead Church in Graham, North Carolina. A good friend of ours, Joshua Gresham, and we're all here for a wedding for our good buddy Jeff Bardell, jeffbardell.com, for those of you who are looking for a good speaker for your event. But anyway, we're here for a wedding, and we decided what better thing to do than record a bunch of podcasts with our buddies and our friends. So we've got Pastor Joshua Gresham with us from Trailhead Church, and then his brother-in-law and another great friend of ours from New Life Church in Huntington, West Virginia, Josh Huffman. Fellas, so good to have you with us.
So from this point forward, we'll refer to Huffman as Huffman, and
because they're both Josh.
They're both Josh, and
Got
the other
it.
one is Hammy.
Yeah. Okay.
Not to confuse those that are keeping score at home.
And the noise you hear from the children are not from my children. They are from my brother-in-law and sister's children.
Wow, just threw him right under the bus in front of the whole world.
Wow, your kids are
We've
punching
got like
my
8
kids.
million people listening to this right now, and he just totally right out there.
Well, listen, we brought these guys on today not just because they are our friends, but both of these guys are incredibly innovative and creative.
Creative dynamos.
And so we thought it would be cool to bring their enlightenment and expertise to our listener base, to give you guys an opportunity to maybe that you're looking to broaden your creative spectrum at your office or at your church or at your business or whatever.
You're starting to make it sound like these guys really know what they're doing.
Well, I mean,
really overselling this. I love it. But
we're gonna be posting some pictures up on. Do we have a Pinterest? We're going to be posting some
That'll
pictures.
be on my Flipboard for 1330.
Yeah,
the
if you go to-
1330
if you're-
podcast
if
on
you're-
Flipboard.
Yeah, and you'll be able to see these pictures that we're talking about, so you can see what we're referring to today. But first, we're just going to let you guys kind of ease into this, and we're just going to say if you're going to be,
And by ease into it, you guys have each got about 45 seconds.
Okay,
Well, to ease
I'll
in.
start. Josh and I, we worked together for a while, and so
How long's a while?
we worked for 4 years. So working with your brother-in-law, and then your boss is your father-in-law. It was a little hectic, and I was learning Photoshop and the TV thing, and Josh would come back there often and be like, "That's the worst thing I've ever seen," but then walk out and
what
not.
you're saying is he's a real encourager.
Yes, and not give me any insight on what I was doing wrong exactly. But I knew that when I could impress Josh Huffman, then I was good to go. So Josh and actually, we became closer than my real brother, but that's easily done. But my brother-in-law here, one thing that we did for each other was we really creatively spurred each other forward as far as just saying, hey, what new thing did you find? What's broadening? What's new? What's cutting edge? What's the best new church going on? And so I would say regularly we were sharing websites with one another for every day at least.
yeah, creativity loves company. We loved just bouncing ideas off each other, and when you're around someone that you're comfortable and confident with, you aren't worried that they're going to tell you something harsh or cruel because it's true, but yet you're not worried they're out to attack or tear you down.
Right.
You're just there to build, make things better. And
So the comfort level helped that?
big time,
Absolutely, yes.
big time. It makes it fun because you're just, you're not looking to outdo each other. You're just looking for a great idea, and you're not worried about, who comes up with it as long as it's a great idea. A lot of times he would have a great idea that I could add, some some of my creativity too. And next thing you know, his idea has become our idea, and it's now better. And we were both, great with that.
Yeah, because I will say, as starting off here, like I said, like at first I didn't know how to take it because it was one of those things. I've never been around other creatives, and then eventually it just hits where it's like, oh, he's for me, not against me.
You can't be afraid. If you're going to be creative,
Right.
You can't be afraid to get your feelings hurt.
And we all had the same goal. That's a hard thing, and it was communicated up in the very front, and that's what made it easier for us both. The common goal was for us to obviously spread and grow the kingdom of God and all that. So it was fantastic that we had that same view, and we also we grew up in the same era, so we had the same idea as far as what was cool, what wasn't cool. So it was really fun, actually.
So, what do you think was obviously you're feeding each other and you're bouncing ideas off each other, but what do you think was the most important part, or the most important step in getting that? Was it just trying new stuff, or I mean, most people get locked into trying to be creative and they just kind of freeze and they go, all right, I know we got to be creative, and they just kind of, oh, I'm going to think about it, and they squint their eyes and they go, oh, come on, be creative, be creative. But
They put so much pressure on themselves.
well, like we did
Yeah.
that. I would go in Keith's office and lay down on the couch, and he'd put his feet up on the desk, and we'd sit there and like try and force creativity.
Right.
And we tried to think of a name for the youth group for like 4 years and never could think of anything. But
It was
once
awful.
we found out later there were certain things we were doing that we could get into a creative flow. So that's, I guess, my question I'm trying to ask you. For you guys, what was the big thing that started that?
Well, there was always church events that were a have-to
Necessity.
moment. Right. So that obviously did some things. But I'm a firm believer that we're all con artists. Every one of us.
Tell us how you really feel.
We're all we're ripping art off everyone. And that's even real artists. Everyone does it. There's always going to be some trace of inspiration because of something else. That's a given. So I think with us, we were able to look at a lot of different ideas and then make it better or try our own flair to it. And that always helps. So like I said, every day we were coming up with new websites that had creative stuff on it where we go, this is an awesome website to glean from, put it in our bookmarks, and we would label them and being organized with this. Josh's bookmarks is one of the most organized things I've ever seen in my entire life. It's crazy, but what's awesome is...
Really? Are you that nerdy that you organized them that well?
Yeah, I am. I like to know where I want to go, and I like to not waste time getting there. And
Right.
so it helps to be organized. If you're not organized,
Awesome.
Creativity doesn't mean that you're just always spontaneous, always flying off the cuff, always trying to figure it out on the spot. No, a lot of creativity comes from organization and planning to be creative. And so you've got a preparation mindset.
Did you guys schedule time together where
No, there was never any time. There was never any real time for us when we worked together. It was really just, hey, we're working on this. What do you think? And then the two of us would open up, and we would start just daydreaming, brainstorming ideas on, no, that's a terrible idea. No, that looks stupid. And next thing you know, oh, I really like that. Let's run with that. And then there you go. Next thing you know, we've got a plan and we're working towards it.
Yeah, just as you guys mentioned, our offices were always open to each other. So it was never a matter of let's have a scheduled 11 o'clock meeting. It was just Josh would come in and he would sit down at my desk and we'd just start talking, and vice versa. So it was awesome that way.
And creative vomiting would ensue at that point.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it was really fun. I mean, we had such a great time doing it. So certain ideas, like I'll never forget though, like his father-in-law said, all right, you guys are in charge of my father-in-law, it was in charge of the men's conference. So immediately we were like, oh, we're in charge.
Yeah.
And so we went all out, and did we do stupid things? Absolutely. I remember even at the end, Dad looked at us like we were idiots.
Yeah.
But we tried it, and it was a good open environment that thank God our senior pastor allowed that to happen. So that, you know what? It wasn't a matter of you're going to lose your faith. It was just a matter of it wasn't going to work because it was just something stupid.
Right.
So that was great.
We took risks, and we were allowed to take risks. There were still boundaries, and there should be boundaries in church creativity.
Good.
Because
Say that.
That's a necessary aspect of creativity because you're not trying to offend people. You're trying to reach people. And so I'm not trying to, you can shock value all you want, but shock value doesn't lead people to Jesus.
Come on, that's good.
Right. Absolutely. Because you got all these people trying to push the limits to a degree where it's in their mind they're thinking they're catching up to the world or whatever, but that's not the case. And I think the world, even with the start of the internet, even the first 100 websites purchased on the internet wasn't done by a church. And so at that point, a lot of folks would say, well, the church used to be the starting point. The church is the one who pushed culture. And when the internet was created, the church wasn't backing it. And I think knowing what happens, we all love the internet and it's great and it's got great resources, but still at that moment, the church has backed away from those types of things. And it's not a bad thing. I think the church is being the church. Now, for us as creatives, we don't need to look at it like we're lame as church people and artists and all those types of things. For us, I'm a firm believer that we as the creatives of the church, we can still be creative without having to be of this world. And that's where it's ridiculous that we start adding things in and doing stuff that's just nonsense.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to turn the corner and wrap this up, and these guys will be back with us on the next one. But at the same time, I do want to encourage you to go by their websites and see some of the stuff we're talking about, because especially, and I'm not knocking Josh's church at all, but Hammy's church, not Huffman, but Hammy's church is definitely. When I walked through it earlier today, it was like a canvas, almost like the whole room was just a big canvas of creativity, almost just on every wall. And so, give them your website so they can kind of go by and.
You can go to www.trailhead.church.
All right. And then, especially over at New Life at Huffman's church, the children's area and all that stuff. I mean, I know you were kind of spearheading that whole thing. Those are the kind of things, and I'm sure there's pictures of all this stuff up on your websites. What's the website for you?
NLConline.org.
NLConline.org. And then, of course, we're going to be also posting some pictures on Keith if you're familiar with what the Flipboard is, it's kind of like an tablet magazine.
Yep.
And we have one on there called 1330 Podcast, and you can go through and we'll post some of these pictures that we're talking about because this is something we're going to talk about for another podcast as well. So as we come down to the last minute and a half here, what's one thing that you're looking forward to doing next? What's a big creativity step, real quick, something that you're looking forward to or you're getting ready to do, project?
Our next creative
that you can talk about.
Our next creative project, we're in the middle of really redoing our website and our online presence. Lots of work going on there because your online presence is a big deal now. So we're making sure that's up to date.
Amy?
We're really working on the in-house message series, opening videos, things of that nature. As far as tangible things, we're looking at our youth center right now. We still have some more art projects we're going to do inside, so I'm sure Keith will show you that.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to wrap things up here. We appreciate you guys stopping by, sitting in with us. If you're interested, we'll have you back for another one here coming up for the 1330 Podcast. If you'd like to reach us, you can get us on our Twitter, the 1330 Podcast, on Facebook as well. And for the 1330 Podcast, I am Keith Neighbor.
I'm Brent Bailey. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for the 1330 Podcast with Brent and Keith. We want to hear from you. Find us on Facebook and Twitter today at 1330 Podcast or email us directly at 1330podcast@gmail.com. Join us next time for another 13 minutes and 30 seconds geared to change you into the leader that you and those who follow you want you to be.